Let's see if we get live, and we should be able to get live very soon. If he's not around, then we'll get to 30 seconds, which may be a possibility. And we are live. All right, Lordship Salvationists. What do you think about the people that say, well, we're saved by grace alone? I'm not going to focus on you, okay? However, I'm going to focus on Jesus. That's for one thing. Now, for you, you focus on not doing sin, not doing sin, not doing sin. Repeatedly, and repeatedly over and over again. All right. Try doing that. The flesh is very deceptive. So if we constantly strive to do one thing and not do that, if we constantly strive to do, and I don't know how to talk. If we constantly strive to not do one thing, and we try to not do one thing, then we already do it because, the flesh is very deceptive. Try saying, okay, I don't want to eat within today. All right, you'll do it. Once you say, I don't want to eat anything delicious, about 1 minute later, you'll eat something delicious, right? And you say, oh, I'm going to try to not look at some porn. And the word resonates in your mind, and you say, I don't want to do it. Okay. All of a sudden you do, within an hour. How about, so do you get what I mean? I hope you do, because, if you're pretty much dull to what you're doing, this is what I'm going to tell you right now. Accuse those who are not perfect. Then you become not perfect yourself. I learned that lesson the hard way. I didn't even know I didn't do that. Because if you want to be a perfect person and hate imperfect people that are broken, and you hate me doing this, sorry, I was upset. I think God was upset. To be honest with you, that was not me. If you really are, to be honest, if you really are mocking me, just going, again, you people have to understand that, I say, I'm a mom. You see? I have a good open invitation for you to mock me. If you say, oh, you shall not mock. And then a second later, you see someone just low life type of person that you think is low life, instead he's a holy person of God, and you mock him within 30 seconds. You say, you shall not mock, and then 30 seconds later you mock someone. Do you understand what I'm getting at? I'm a low person to you, And the awesome thing about it is, when someone mocks a child of God, he shall mock him and make him the low life, and he may stutter a lot. He might just think, oh, why am I stuttering like that? How am I going to mock myself? And people are going to consider you the low life. Let me point this out. Once you focus on sin, the more you focus on sin, the more you do it. And the more you focus on not doing sin, the much faster you do it. Sorry. Because the more people focus on not going with God, well, they may do it for longer. They may have a longer time without God, but someday He's going to come to them, and they're going to be in His, and they're going to be in my footsteps. Trust me. These people that are saying, I don't want to be with God, I chose not to be with God, they'll either just choose my footsteps when they're in hell, or they'll quite honestly do it on earth and be in heaven. Ignore her. So basically, many people are, focusing on one thing. The one thing you should really, the one thing you should really focus on is finding Jesus. Focus on Jesus, not just any Jesus. Read the Bible in the King James Version. Read that version and his version of that. And then, not only that, you say, okay, how do I become like you? And not only that, I'm not going to be perfect, so I'm not going to be doing everything that you do. Instead, you go do everything that he does. Because a man that tries to go against his own will to save his own life, he will lose it. Because focusing on saving your life, you'll lose it. And then focusing on losing your life, you'll save it. That's a proverb, and that is what Jesus told everyone in Jerusalem. Not in Jerusalem, but in Israel. He told everyone in Israel, one of his wise words was, anyone that shall seek his life shall lose it, and anyone that shall seek to lose his life shall find it. Because people that hate that just run away from God, they'll find themselves, they'll quite literally find themselves so depressed and so, tied in a knot, and quite a knot from all these things that they've done against themselves and all the people that have basically taught against them and mocked them and scoffed against them. These people will quite literally, quite honestly, the people that are going to be saved, they will be saved because they were depressed, they were tied in a knot, they were feared, they feared hell because you become the opposite of what you think you want to do. And everything that you want to do, what you really want to do is not what you want to think. Because everything that you do sometimes is equated to the opposite of what you think. But on the other hand, everything that you think is everything that you do. So, what should you really focus on? Desperate. You should be desperate. Just to get out of a situation. When he asks, do you really want to be with me? The answer shouldn't be rebellion. Because it should be, my life is broken by these people that are actually rebelling against you, Lord. I want to be with you because my life is broken. You see, if your life is never broken, by your own self, you probably won't find God because you don't find a comforter. Instead, you're hurting others. If you're not broken, if you're not sad all the time, if you're not really sad about what you're doing, in some cases, you're really a monster killing people, for one thing. Another thing, you are killing souls. So really, it's bad. It's bad either way. And a heavy heart gets desperate. Then God intervenes. Then they go to God. However, once you focus on God, you're truly saved. Because focusing on God, on Jesus, yes, his name is Jesus, focusing on Jesus is the only way to salvation. Because if you could focus on Jesus and the law, you're putting Jesus into the law and causing him to quite literally, he fulfilled the law by first adding, and this is automatic when you do that. He's first added, first you shall love me more than any other being and anything else, because this is my commandment. This is my number one commandment. And the second thing he gave is to love others like you love yourself. It's not just by how much you really care about God. Because if you're trying to do better than anything else, it's called pride. You know what the devil does with pride? He makes pride like him. Then you become weak. Then you become dumb. Then you become less of a human than you really were before. Humans are supposed to be the smartest beings on earth. Nothing like the devil. He may be very smart, like us, but he's less than everything else. He may even be less than a tree for even facts, That's how low life he is, He's in the caves, in the earth, just thinking about killing people and destroying lives. If you get so proud, one day you'll become like the Antichrist, and you'll think about destroying Christian lives, all of them. Because some people have become so proud that they've destroyed the purpose of God. The purpose of God is not to be proud. However, the purpose of God is to serve each other. You see what pride did right there? Change my heart. Whatever comes out of your mouth will change your heart. Because the purpose of God is to be humble. Even kings have to be humble. Because Jesus is the only one that is the true humility of life. Because he gives those who are humble his land. He gives, he doesn't give humility as a fruit. However, he gives out beatitudes. And the first is love. And then beatitudes are basically, rewards. Humility, you get the land of reward. Because he can trust you with the whole entire land, basically. Then there is other things like people that are loving and careful and full of care. And, let's just say that when you're pointing out flaws, you become it. Because the more you focus on flaws, the more you become flaws. Then, the more you become focused on, let's say, hatred, malice, the more bitter you become, the more loud you become. However, the more you focus on the love of Jesus and the comfort and care and all that good stuff, the more you become like that. We must be more loving and caring and kind to each other. the love, like agape love, and the love towards God and love towards others, like you love yourself and love towards God more than everything else. That's all I have to focus on, okay? People are, all right, now let's talk about the streets for a little bit. What caused these people to, let's say, riot? A bitter heart. They focus on a man dying in the streets by the police. I'm not going to focus on that. However, they, instead of being peaceful, they started to become violent and bitter and take over land, just as a policeman took over someone's life. How can we protest against that? No, we can't. We cannot do that. However, we can still focus on God. You know, the only thing that's going to get rid of riots and protests and all that crazy stuff is Jesus. Put Jesus back into the land, and you'll see miracles being done in the land. If you don't do that, we'll become a Haiti. Not just hell. Not really hell. But we'll become the land of Haiti. We'll become the land of Sudan. Trust me. If we do not focus on God anymore, we will become like Sudan. Even worse. Because we were so engulfed in God. Israel had their land taken away from them. They had no land. We will have land. But it will be destroyed, and then we will become like Sudan. So, here's my heart again. See what I mean? The more focus on things, the more you become it. So I beg you, please, put Jesus into everyone's heart in America. Put Jesus in schools. Make abortion illegal. Then go up from there to making gay parades illegal. Make it so it is illegal to be gay and have sodomy, and also illegal to have, what is it called? The 3 people on one for marriage. You know what I mean? Like let's say 2 women on 1 man. That is going to cause a lot of violence. Instead of that, let's have 1 man and 1 woman. 2 people, 1 flesh. 1 woman and 1 man. In a family. Then they create children. That's all we need. Who cares if they really are upset? Because the more upset they get, the more they get found. Until we are more like freedom, and more like the God-fearing country that we were back in the 50s and 60s. We will not be perfect. However, we can get rid of racism. We can get rid of sodomy and sexual sin. We can get rid of violence, you know. We can become the nation that we should have become back in Daniel Boone's day. Back in Christopher Columbus' day, you know? You know, a nation that feared God. Because people want to escape from Europe. But, you know, the funny thing is, my nationality and not my race. What is it called? My breed of human being. This type of breed that has a European look to it. This breed of human being, they like taking over things. They're dominant. We're the dominant breed. People in Africa, they may be strong, but they're not dominant in might and in brain power. The natives might be, you know, they might be very tough. They might be aggressive, but we're dominant in power and might and mind. The people of Asia might be like high action fighting, and they may be really good fighters. They may be really fast paced, but we're very mighty in power and in mind. We have a good mind against how to deal with people that are using swords. We use bullets instead. It's like the first person that invented a bullet and a gun, he wanted to go beyond arrows. So he would use his shield, and he would not use a sword, not an arrow, but a thing that he saw shrapnel. That's an old word, by the way. He saw shrapnel exploding from all sorts of wood and metal and from stone. He even saw dynamite blowing up rock and people dying from it. They had wounds similar to bullet holes. He thought, okay, how about I just put a random metalized ball into a tube? He thought, okay, if I shoot this, will this go anywhere? So he put the what we call a pistol, because plants, and aimed it at a bow and arrow. It was medieval days, by the way. He shot it at bow and arrow thing, and he got the target. Not spot on, but on just right. He knew that he invented something very powerful, because he knew that he got the actual person in the target, not the actual person, but he knew he got close enough that he could actually hit a person. They made it better, and then they invented the gun. That was my race and my breed that invented that gun. Now we're trying to ban it. We've even my race and we've invented the gun. We've invented and I'm getting off topic, I know. We've invented a machine gun. Some of us have even invented, bombs. The only weapon we really haven't invented was a bazooka. Other people have invented crude things with weapons. We've invented an atom bomb. But the thing is, we're all created equal with minor differences. Now look at my face. And look at the most opposite type of face you could ever imagine. All the same, except for color, bit of a shape, and a little bit of a function of our body. So we're practically all the same. I know I'm off topic, but this might be a long video. So really, focus up. Look at Jesus. It's hard because these days you have a lot of videos about how to look at violence, I'm not going to focus on that. Look at the entirety of Jesus. Look at the heavenly things. Not the false things, no. Not the people that have visions and go to heaven. That's just visions and dreams. That might just also be attack, No. Focus on Jesus. Focus on his kingdom. Because one day you're going to get there. Maybe near future, maybe not. And one day you'll be surprised at the amount of people that actually make it. Yeah, this morning I just had a vision. Well, describing what the people are like. Some pews were empty. Some were had people, but the other side was filled with people, and the line was not. It was not going anywhere. It's all the way out of heaven. Just saying. 100 people compared to 1,000 people. 566. Just saying. Because the other, I don't know, 50, other 60, were children. 50, 60 were children, However, the amount of people that are in heaven and will be in heaven will be quite surprising, because once Jesus takes the last people up, the last people will be babies and children and infants in the mother's womb, and they will be born into a world that is paradise. It will be the most amazing thing that you could ever possibly have imagined. And what's better than to have paradise? Nothing. Paradise is love, it's holy, it's joyful, especially joyful, peaceful, especially peaceful, gentle, all those good things, even self-control, and especially self-control. Soft, moist, luxurious. Well, not as luxurious as you might call luxurious on earth, but it's the things we create on earth is corrupt compared to, way corrupt compared to heaven. Because what we create on earth is very corrupt, So instead of, the statues in heaven will be more like little children. They're dancing in the flowers and in the garden. And there'll be also live animals that you get to lie down next to and just love and just hug it like a pet. Because all the wild animals you get to hug like a pet. The bugs will be just nostalgia. Crickets will just chime. I meant to say chime, And the other thing, another thing that you'll hear is woodpecker making their noise, and frogs. Probably be frog noises, but probably something else that makes that frog noise. But it's going to be nostalgia. And you'll forever have nostalgia. Now focus on these things. Also, Jesus is the one to focus on, because he created you. Created me. He created everyone. He created all things that are living. Even trees are living. He even created the earth that has living things on it. He even created the planets to guide us and to guide the seasons of our lives. He created the sun to make the living beings live on the earth. Created. He created electricity so we may see one day. Created fire so we may definitely see. and absolutely created this moon and the stars, so we will absolutely see all of the days. Jesus created the sun, so we will definitely see all day until the sun goes down. Then he created the stars and the moon just later on, so we can be guided and not be blinded. Jesus created the entirety of the earth the way it was, so we may live. Jesus created us as unique as possible, yet as close to as same as possible, so we could be recognizing each other by the way we sound or by everything that we know by each other. Jesus did all that and created differences and equality in everything. It's not about color. This is just pigmentation. We're just the same by the shape. By the shape, we're the same look by every single aspect of our body, except for maybe one. And that's still the same because, you know, some people don't care about babies. I'm just joking around, by the way. The Romans were cruel too. It's nothing. I'm not gonna talk about it, but of course you'll focus on that, won't you? And there's also a whole bunch of you that think, well, it's a good thing that so-and-so is gone so that he doesn't hurt us. Maybe he has a personal life. Maybe he has been hurt himself. Hurt creates hurt. Though it hurts. Don't focus on anything that hurts you. Don't try to be against it. Because anything that you're trying to be against, well, you'll become. So you're trying to go against everything. Withhold something, but your flesh always does it. Naturally. The enemy put a seed into a fruit called the fruit of good and evil. The enemy planted there. So God gave you an option, actually Adam and Eve an option, whether to eat from it or not. Why is it there? Or maybe it's because of the utter darkness that was found by space, So this fruit was very black, and inside of it was bright blue, like space. It kind of looked black, like an orb. Kind of like, I don't know, kind of looked like a black hole, except inside of it, kind of spacey-like. That's what I'm going to say what it looks like. It may appeal, it may taste good. Don't get any ideas, okay? It may taste good, but in the end, it makes you rotten. You can't breathe from it. It smells like death. Not like rotting in bones, but what causes death, And the other one, the fruit of the light, is actually fruit of good stuff. It was all good. And who knows what that fruit looked like? But we do know what the fruit of evil looks like. Fruit of good may have been just fruit of healing. But we don't know, do we? So, what should we focus on? Instead, the one that the darkness that serpent of darkness and decided to create more darkness because he decided to create the matter of people. I mean, you know what happened to Cain? He decided to be proud, and that's what happened. But then there was a new type of person that would focus on one thing, trying not to do it, but he would always do it. Where did that come from? Focusing on one thing and actually not trying to do it and then doing it. Satan tries to do that, but he always fails instantly later. The same thing with us. We fail minutes later, hours later, and that's it. Not even a day. We still fail. But if it's a diet that we're trying to do, well, once you're off of it, you'll fail a few days later because you focus on it. I'm learning that the hard way. So, again, your focus should be on Jesus. Your focus really should be on Jesus because he is the only way and the truth and the light. And Lordship Salvation, it may be, I don't know how to call it, but you may be trying to go against people that are sinners. But once you just focus on that sin, it's not, you're doing it. Focusing on sin is actually a sin. If you believe it or not, that's called pride. Pride leads to destruction. Pride leads to sin. I believe pride leads to sin is found somewhere in the Bible. Look it up, I guess. See if that's true. I know pride leads to destruction somewhere in the Bible. I believe it also leads to sin. And the center of pride, it's not found in the Bible, but the center of pride is yourself, and only fulfilling yourself in your dreams. I know some women are more apt to do that than men, and more men are apt to be more cruel than women, but we all have our differences, but we should more focus on Jesus because he is the one that really, he's up there. Look. Because he is the one that loves us, and love is the one we should focus on. The more you focus on love, the more you focus on truth, and the more you focus on Jesus, the more happy you'll become with yourself. However, people will make you unhappy. You'll be hated, and then you'll have to focus on Jesus more. Then by doing that is by prayer. Focus on prayer. And also focus on things like not just companionship, but just focus on the truth. Focus on the Bible. The three things is the prayer, Jesus, and the Bible. Because that's his name. The Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, his name is Jesus. In the English text. In the Hebrew is I'm not gonna do it in Hebrew because a lot of you people will think that's a good thing I'm doing. However, you'll probably go to Hello Heretics, and I'm not gonna focus on that. It's more like a pride thing. I don't want to do it. I'm gonna call him Jesus because that's his name in my language. I'm not being rebellious. I'm just having a choice. So basically, Jesus gives us all a choice to look up to him, towards him, or look at yourself, or me, or anyone else. Because truth of the matter, I'm not really perfect. I haven't always spoken the truth. However, I've always looked to Jesus. I've looked to him for love and for hope And for whatever things I look towards him, I have a more hopeful aspect of looking at him because I care for him. He is my favorite person and being. He is personal to me, and I trust him like a child. And if anyone looks like him to me and tries to act like him, a child would go for it because he trusts even in strangers. You know? Because we cannot see him physically, we will definitely try to go towards him because we can hear his voice. Once that hint of a voice goes towards me, I'm on it. Because for this whole time, the hint of the voice of God has been telling me to make this video called I don't know what it's called, like Lordship Salvation. I've been told by God to call this video Lordship Salvation. Why? Why so opposite of what I should teach? Well, it isn't. It's more like, the way things should be. Because I'm calm when I need to be. Because, Jesus can be angry, but he's mostly calm. So he's coming down, just giving you a message for a long time. Maybe you want to have me. Maybe you can pray for me to stay on earth. There's a lot of you out there. I know there are, And if there's not a lot of you out there, then that'll be pretty surprising. But I know there are a lot of you out there that are Lordship Salvationists. And I know that all of you try to focus on one thing or another. Focus on this. His name is Jesus. Only focus on him. And if you focus on him only, your life will be changed. Not an instant, maybe in an instant, but we still have mysteries we cannot answer. We still may not have gifts that we would rather not have or would rather have. But we have a lot of people in the world that are Lordship Salvationists, all in one goal, to be as perfect as possible. Now, to be as perfect as possible sounds like one person to you, doesn't it? Do you know what the Nazis were? I'm not trying to be offensive, okay? I'm trying to be offensive. They were a set of perfect people by one person. That's all I'm going to say. They were assigned to do tasks in perfect unison, in a perfect way. This man really wanted these people to be his way perfect. This will be offensive. I know it will be. Aren't the Lordship Salvationists trying to be as perfect as possible? To be this clone of a person with each other? And try to go against people who are sinners? Okay. Answer this. What did Jesus do? He went up to them, healed them, broke all boundaries of people. He was against people that are lame. They all had strongholds. They all were oppressed. So you're going against oppressed people that have sinned and turning them down is something they were never meant to be. What did Jesus do? He healed the oppressed, made them better, made the sick better, made the people wake up from their forever sleep. He made people live in the inside and cured them of their hopelessness because the Pharisees had their ways of being perfect and turning them down. He was their only hope. It's you, isn't it? You turn people down, yet we heal them. We make lives better, don't we? Because Jesus loves his people. He wants to heal the oppressed. He wants to make people's lives much more shiny and better. He wipes the tears from their eyes and makes them beautiful again. He cares. Do you care? Because people that don't care, they are the ones that are oppressing. Yet with us, we fix the broken lives. And this will offend you. I'm not a Lordship Salvationist. Why am I saying this? For one thing, I really believe that the grace of God really is the one that saves people. Because we're all broken. Because Jesus is the only way for those people's lives to return back to normal. Not just to normal, but to be much better than what it used to be in some cases. He fixes broken wings. He returns the feathers back to normal. He cleans them and puts the oil back on them. If you know what I mean. And then he makes these people fly away again and be free into the land of paradise. That's Jesus. And people that are, snatching them, some of these people, not going to name names, are loud. And they hurt people's feelings. They may be like, oh, well, I don't care about your God. Because they don't like that God. Because they tear them down. Yet my God, he cures people. He makes people's souls and spirits and even their bodies recover from the darkness that they used to have. He's a truly beautiful God. And he hates sin. Because sin destroys lives. Just as it did in the early 40s and late 30s. Jesus is the only one we should focus on. To focus on sin as we become it. Like I said, let me give you an excerpt of salvation. To focus on that instead of focusing on yourself. So we can be clear. Believe that you're a sinner. And that you're a sinner. And then you turn away is to turn to Jesus. Believe that he died on the cross for you. Believe that he died on the cross for you. And believe in him that he took your life, that he took his life just for you on the cross. Buried himself and then risen from the dead. And that if you proclaim his word, then you are indeed redeemed. Proclaim means proclaim the gospel, read the Bible, and every good stuff that's from the Bible, proclaim the Bible. To proclaim the gospel is to say what is salvation. The Bible doesn't say to state the law in the New Testament, but it does say to state the law in the Old Testament, but things are made new. It does say in the New Testament that things are made new. It does, however, mean that we're not to try to break the law. However, we are to try to keep it in our hearts. And the two new commandments are to love God more than everything else, and to love everyone like you love yourself. And these are the two new commandments that are stated in God's book. All right. Now remember, everyone has a fault, but God can fix it once we get to Him. Once He fixes us, we'll be in paradise and no longer sin. But on earth, we have to keep focusing on God so that we sin not too much. But however, we don't have it. We cannot sin too much. However, we try to sin as least as possible, so we look good for others, and we try to please God as much as possible, so He loves us more, so we get rewarded more. The more we try to please God, the more we love Him, the more happy He is for us. The more He loves us, the more He rewards us. He loves, and He is love. Jesus is pure love. You know. Remember these words, okay? I hope you understand that Jesus, he cures. He cures. He does not accuse. He only goes against the Pharisees and corrects them. But he knows who's his and who's are not. He only accuses those who are not his. However, the funny thing is, he says, "Depart from me." Those who work lawlessness. He does not say what the lawlessness is. He's the only judge for everyone. He only repeats the statements that everyone has done to say, have you done this? He's only like a judge. He's not going to do that, but he has to do it. It's not for himself, it's for everyone. Because he is the one, he's for everyone. Because, matter of fact, we all do lawlessness. I bet you didn't know that. We all do lawlessness. No one's perfect. I bet you didn't know that either. So trying to be perfect is pride. How broken we are. That we focus on being perfect, yet pride brings us down. And how brilliant it is just to look up to Jesus and say, help me. Because once we focus on ourselves to be perfect, we go down. Pride brings us down, like I said, And once we give up, the more we give up, the more broken we become until you go to Jesus. For a man that strives for life, strive for perfection, he's heading towards destruction. And those who are striving for, no longer living and that they don't want to live anymore because of their own broken life, the more they live. I guess this is good enough as it gets, because the important truth about this is love. Don't just love by telling them a message that people will go against you at. They'll be easily offended. But why are they easily offended? For one thing, tell them a message that offends those. It offends those who are broken. They run away from you guys. Sorry about that. They run away from you guys because they think that you're trying to tear them up in the inside of their soul. You don't think you're doing that, but you're actually doing that. However, once you believe that you're broken, you'll find out that you've been easily offended by those who are trying to tell you the truth. What are you easily offended by? Pride? The world? And its attributes to sin? What are you proud about? Or are you offended by those that are, they're are you offended by those that talk the truth about Jesus? Because if you're offended by those who are about, if you're offended by pride, and those who, basically, you'll either be offended by those that are proudful and wanting the truth, or you'll be offended by the fact that the world is, I don't know how to say, but you'll be offended two ways: the godly way, which is pride in the world, or you'll be offended by the truth, or lies. Hold on. You'll either be offended by lies or you'll be offended by the truth. And then by that matter, I hope you're offended by lies. Well, anyway, I guess I said enough. This has been an hour. Yeah. Lord Jesus willing, that we have a time with Him, and that you're not too offended by the truth, and that you're offended by lies. Anyway, I'll be done now, okay? Bye. All right, this is time to do it.